All right, I think I'm on. Welcome. Lot to talk about tonight. Different time, testing out different audience, seeing who's on at different times a day. Going to talk about some really interesting revelations that sort of prove to us that not only is the entire Russia thing not really about Trump, but also that all of Russia's actions have really been perfectly believable in some sense. And I'll get into that in a little bit. We'll talk about the pending indictments. I know there's a bunch of questions related to some of the stuff that's been going on the YouTube channel lately, so I'll address that. As usual, we now have a number of different on-screen gimmicks that might encourage you to make contributions, either via Super Chat or at streamlabs.com/The David Pakman Show. Number one is that contributions will show up here. Two, they will show up here. C just donated $1. And in addition, there's this new thing where the balls will drop into, where is it? Into the cup, which is kind of a cool thing. So anyway, I don't know if people really care about this stuff, but it does seem to get some people excited at least. I already don't like where this is going, has tipped another $1 and is filling up the cup. See you. I think we can all sort of tell where this is going, right? In any case, welcome to the live stream. Thanks to Brian Dang, who has made a $2 contribution, and his balls are falling into my sort of like a Belgian style. That's the type of glass I drink a Belgian style beer out of. Another $1 tip from C, and pretty good physics animation there. I kind of like that, yeah. Okay, if this is your first live stream with us, yes, it's really live unless you're watching a replay. Number two, Super Chat is on. You can use Super Chat, which is the $ at the bottom of the chat window, to send questions or comments. Those will be read, questions will be answered, comments will be responded to. You can also now, as of a couple of streams ago, use streamlabs.com/The David Pakman Show, and then it's same thing. You can make a contribution and also send a comment. But it circumvents YouTube's 30% Super Chat fee. So that's kind of a cool thing. New members and patrons will get live shout-outs and thank yous during the stream. If you become a member or a patron, those are the primary sources of funding for the program. I will thank you profusely and sing your praises. Last time I made up fake compliments for people. So more on that in a few. And please, obvious trolling and hate will get you banned. I'm only a minute in, and shockingly, one of our moderators has already had to delete people's messages, and I haven't even done anything yet worth criticizing. Jeez, I don't get what is up with people. And yes, we can talk just very briefly. Patreon, we're trying to raise money on Patreon. We're really getting screwed on YouTube. We're not really making any money on YouTube anymore, and it used to be like half of our funding. So I always try to paint a pretty picture, put rose-colored glasses on whenever I'm talking about anything related to the show. But the truth is we're getting crushed, and we want to replace that revenue. And one way we're doing it is through Patreon. We are at 1,936 patrons. My challenge to you today during this live stream is let's get to 1950. Okay, we failed last time. But I think we could do it tonight. Let's get to 1,950 patrons. And if we do, I will create and release for you a major coupon code for membership. Right now, there's a 40% discount code. I voted 17. I promise that if we get to 1,950 patrons tonight, I will outdo the 40% discount code with something that hopefully people will like. Maybe they won't, but I'm hoping that they will. All right. So let's get into what's going on with the Russia stuff. So there's been a lot of Russia-related news over the last week or so, and I've been making an effort because I know that there's so much other stuff than Russia, and I'm really making an effort. Like the first 15 or 16 minutes of today's program was just me doing an in-depth analysis of Donald Trump's tax proposal, right? I like doing that. I think that there's value to doing that. But I can't indefinitely ignore the Russia story because it is a real story after all. And we've learned a number of different things. Number one, we now have a Democratic senator, Senator Richard Blumenthal from Connecticut, who says that he believes there is a 99% chance that both former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn and former Trump campaign manager chairman Paul Manafort, who the Trump campaign pretends was like an intern that nobody really knew, but actually he was the chairman and at one point the campaign manager for Donald Trump, that both of them are getting indicted. And if that happens, it is going to irreversibly turn the types of discussions we hear about Trump-Russia. We've already been seeing it happening. It's been going to there was no collusion, to the collusion wouldn't be illegal, to Trump had no idea about the collusion. It's going to be yet another shift in that direction. But that's not really what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is something that we've learned about in the last 24 to 48 hours. And what that is that Russia has actually been involved in much more than just the Donald Trump campaign. And initially, when it was Trump wanted Russia to win, there were people who reacted and said, why would Trump want Russia to win? It doesn't really make sense. Why would they like Trump? And from the beginning, I've been referencing, thanks to the D2J Bug, who donated $5 Canadian. We'll get to your super chat in a bit. I've been referencing a book called Foundations of Geopolitics by Alexander Dugin. By the way, it's looking like that the $5 contribution is so significant that it knocks the other coins out of my beer glass here. Where is it? Here it is. There it is. I've been talking about Foundations of Geopolitics for a long time, and it's by Alexander Dugin. And you can Google this. I mean, this is widely available. You don't have to take my word for it. And in fact, if you're a savvy or critically thinking media consumer, you shouldn't take my word for it. Look it up for yourself. In Foundations of Geopolitics, Alexander Dugin outlines that the strategy that Russia should take with regard to the United States to sort of prop themselves up geopolitically is seed chaos. Anytime you have an opportunity to support a dissident group in the United States, do it. Anytime you have an opportunity to fuel racial tensions, particularly involving African Americans, do it. And what has happened with Russia over the last, I guess, more acutely 18 to 24 months, but really it extends beyond that, is that that's exactly what they've done. So when we look at Russia's involvement just with the Trump campaign, we say, well, why would they want Trump to win? And of course, it's not because they like Trump. It's because a Trump presidency, predictably, and it happened, would jeopardize the credibility of the United States around the world. It would throw the internal domestic politics of the United States into chaos. Case in point, it's happened. No Obamacare repeal, no Mexican wall that Mexico is going to pay for, no restructuring of trade deals so that they'll be great for everybody. We're now talking about the tax plan, but it's been 8 months and nothing has happened, right? That's really the goal of Russian geopolitical strategy. So now what we've learned, and if you haven't heard about this, I'll catch you up, and we did a story on the regular program today, we've learned a bunch of things about Russia's involvement. Number one, we found out that Russia was buying at least some ads promoting Black Lives Matter, gun rights, and the NRA, geo-targeting them on Facebook, specifically to Facebook users in Ferguson, Missouri, and Baltimore, Maryland, sites of significant racial unrest and violent protests over treatment of African American men by police. So you would say, wait a second, is it that Russia supports Black Lives Matter and the Second Amendment? No, it is much more nuanced than that. It's that it is an opportunity to further inflame tensions of all kinds. And again, go to Alexander Dugin's Foundations of Geopolitics. Now, we knew that yesterday, right? We've since learned that in addition to that, the Internet Research Agency is connected to a number of Twitter accounts. There's a Twitter account called, let me see if I can, I think it's banned now. It's called either Blacktivist or Blacktivists. Let's see, I believe it's Blacktivists, and it has been suspended. So the Twitter account Blacktivists, we now know, was actually being controlled by Russian players, and in particular, it appears to relate to the Internet Research Agency. Really good research is out there about the Internet Research Agency. It's basically a Russian internet trolling firm, and of course, it's never totally clear how officially connected they are to the Kremlin or how directly involved or knowledgeable Vladimir Putin is, but needless to say, this is an establishment Russian trolling firm, and they were involved in pumping up all sorts of racial animus through Twitter, not creating topics out of thin air that aren't relevant, right? Police and the relationship to African American men, that's a real issue. Russia didn't invent that issue. But really successful Facebook and Twitter accounts controlled by Russians meant to agitate. And this is the strategy, right? So if you want to argue, Well, it's not clear that it's to their advantage. You can kind of debate and argue that. But what really can't be denied, just Google it, Foundations of Geopolitics by Alexander Dugin. This is exactly what Alexander Dugin prescribed Russia do with regard to the United States 20 years ago. It's what they're doing. It's there. It's sort of like when we say, can we really believe that Donald Trump might have made unwanted advances against, I don't know at this point what reporter it was recently, someone from MSNBC. I told you about it a couple weeks ago. Well, he only told us that he grabs them by the pussy whenever he wants, and when you're famous, he can just kiss women whenever he wants to, doesn't matter what they think, blah, 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 blah. You just have to go back to what was said before. And here, big coincidence, what Russia is doing coincides exactly with the geopolitical playbook of Alexander Dugin from 20 years ago. And please, before emailing me and telling me I don't know what I'm talking about, just look at it yourself. Google it. Look at it yourself and see what it is that's actually there. XX Shamaica, thank you for the contribution. And thanks also to Brian Rasmussen for the contribution. I wonder what determines whether the coins go in or whether they don't. Some are bouncing around and some are going in, knocking others. I kind of like this. I have to tell you, it's very entertaining. Whoop, there goes one, popped out. And there it is. Yeah, the physics of the balls seem okay, I would say. I don't know. We'll keep it up for now. Let me jump into a couple of the super chats here, and then I will get to Streamlabs contribution messages. So the D2J Bug sent a message saying it's not easy being green. All right, couldn't really add more to that. XX Shamaica has sent a $5 super chat. Dave Rubin said the left thinks little white boys and girls are evil in Greg Gutfeld interview part 2. Your thoughts and why do you hate white kids? Yeah, I mean, I just don't think I don't think there's any evidence that the left thinks little white boys and girls are evil. I think if you want to establish that, we would want to establish that empirically, right? So by the left, I'm going to sort of employ charity here. I assume Dave Rubin is not implying that every individual on the left thinks little white boys and girls are evil. So presumably he means some significant portion, or maybe a majority, or maybe a plurality. We would want him to define that. And then we would want to cite some kind of source. We would want to cite a source that indicates that a plurality, a majority, or some portion of the left hates or thinks little white boys and girls are evil. And of course, statistically, most of the left is white. So it would be some pretty serious white self-hatred. XX Shamaica. I know you don't hate kids, but that's what Dave said. Yeah, no, I understood it. I got it. Hobbitten has sent a 5 British pound super chat. David, don't you realize that it's not the Russians? It's the squirrels. The squirrels run everything. Yeah, that's what I meant, I think. That's what I meant. And Katie Rice. Katie Rice has sent a $1 super chat with no question or comment. Thanks very much. I do appreciate that. And then now let's do Streamlabs contributions. Of course, you can make contributions at streamlabs.com/The David Pakman Show. They will put your name up here. They will trigger an animation somewhere over here. And they will also drop some balls or coins or whatever they are in this cup. Okay, so streamlabs.com/The David Pakman Show. First one is from Brian Dang, who says the election board made the gender error on Kushner's registration. Okay, so this is related to today's story that Jared Kushner is registered to vote as a woman. And the elections board is indicating that it is their error. And there's a link here that Brian sent. The New York State Board of Elections acknowledged in a news report that President Donald Trump's son-in-law and senior advisor Jared Kushner registered to vote as a male, despite being listed as a woman previously. All right, so that's one form, at least, that it appears Jared Kushner filled out correctly. Christina sent a $1 Streamlab donation. When was the last time, if ever, that you were stuck on the side of the road because of car trouble? I got a flat tire on my way home. It was not nearly as fun as a David Pakman live stream. Right, no, I can assume that, Christina. Let me think. When was the last time I was stuck on the side of the road because my car broke down? You know, I genuinely don't know. I've been stuck on the side of the road. Oh, well, you know what? Actually, no, I do remember. 3 or 4 days after getting my last new lease, I was still living in New York City. sort of a snowy day, and I was driving from New York City up to Western Massachusetts, and I did not see, because of the snow, a pothole on the New York, what highway was it? I guess it would have been, at that point, 87 North. Got a flat tire, totally threw my alignment out of balance. Brand new car, right? I'm 3 days into this new lease or something. I end up pulling over in the Bronx, which I know when I tell people they think it's scary. It was fine. It really was no big deal, and I was able to just speak Spanish with people, and it was all fine. But because of the snow, AAA was saying it's going to be hours before we get to you. And my car's roadside assistance was telling me it's going to be hours before we get to you. So I said, no problem. I'll just get the tire changed. There's a million tire shops in the Bronx. And I remembered that when I had gotten the car, I was told, listen, you have one of the 5 lug nuts on your wheels is different. And you need a lock nut in order to open it, to loosen it, in order for people not to be able to as easily steal your wheels. And I said, I remember that. Pop the trunk. It's not there. And it turns out that the dealership had forgotten to give me the lock nut and instead had mailed it to me. Of course, I was on the road. So ultimately, I ended up making it home at about 4:30 in the morning to Western Massachusetts after, fortunately, my girlfriend's dad purchased like the top level AAA. And with the top level AAA, you can get 1 tow a year of, I think it's 175 miles, which would have been a $1,600 tow. They flatbed towed my vehicle, I think it was 162 miles from the Bronx to Northampton, Massachusetts. Of course, the trucks have a speed limit of like 50. So it took 4.5 hours instead of the normal 3. I don't know. It was absolute and total nightmare. So that was the last time. And it wasn't good. It wasn't good. That, folks, I can tell you for sure. Brian Rasmussen has sent $1 Streamlabs contribution. Do you suspect Jill Stein has any remorse for her role in electing Trump? Also, how many times a day are you mistaken for Jake Gyllenhaal? I get that online, but never in person. I don't know that Jill Stein has remorse for her role in electing Donald Trump. What I do think is that there are real questions about Jill Stein's connections to Russia. And because she never had a shot, they weren't really looked into like the Trump campaign's connections to Russia were. But more and more is being written about it. And I think that there is, I would like to see it looked into. That's what I'll say. Pac-Man Fan 69 has sent a $2 Streamlabs contribution. Link is in the video description. Hey, David, would you ever go on the Discord and accept live questions from viewers? Town Hall stream when? Good questions. Yeah, I still don't know how to get on the Discord. I'm kind of kidding. I mean, I know how to get on it, but I'm never I've never done it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I would be willing to do that. We would have to sort of, I guess, coordinate it and think about when that would make sense. But yeah, I think that would be a really great thing to do. I would love to be on the Discord. Let's go back to Super Chats. Doobie Dude has sent a $50 Super Chat. Thank you instantly, putting him or herself at the top of the list for this evening for Super Chats and Streamlabs contributions. Just wanted to let you know the Discord server dedicated to your show is amazing. You've got great mods like Schneerp there that really do a lot to create a positive atmosphere for discussion. Have you considered dropping in to say hello? Well, listen, if people are willing to spend $50 to tell me that I should be on the Discord, then I think I need to check out the Discord, right? It's hard to imagine really having any excuses not to at this point. So yeah, I'm going to try to check that out. Richard Hill has sent a $5 super chat. Do you think North Korea is making themselves into the victim lately? Yeah, that's a common thing. I mean, that's not new. They are both the aggressor but the perpetual victim. So I'm not. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. That's absolutely something that they are doing. XX Shameka has sent a $5 super chat. You should consider going on the PKA podcast. That would be amazing. And have you been on other podcasts? I've been on many other podcasts. What is the PKA podcast? Let's see what that is short for. Painkiller Already, a weekly gaming gone comedy podcast. I've never heard of it, but I would consider it. Let's see what their YouTube channel looks like. The PKA podcast. Okay, so it's like a group podcast type of thing. Yeah, I would love to be on if they invite me. So if you have any connections, by all means, tell them to get in touch, and it would be my utmost pleasure to participate there. Okay, let me do a few thank yous before we get too much further in. So number one, membership is the number one funding source for the David Pakman Show. And you can sign up for membership at davidpakman.com/membership. And I do have a few new members to thank. I want to send a big thanks to Frank Murray, as well as Gage Bennett and Tim Rasmussen. A lot of Rasmussen stuff going on. Contribution from Brian Rasmussen, and then we've got Tim Rasmussen. A lot of Rasmussen action tonight. And also Maura Freeman. Maura Freeman, thank you so much for signing up at davidpakman.com/membership. And no new patrons. No new patrons. It really bums me out when we don't do well with the Patreon contributions. We started the evening at 1,936 patrons. I issued what is really a very reasonable challenge of 1,950 patrons. If we get to 1,950, it will trigger a live stream only discount code for membership, and we've made no progress to that whatsoever. And you'll notice that when I talk about Patreon, I only talk about number of patrons. I don't care how much you contribute. It's really just about getting the largest number of contributors possible. Really, that's the way I see as sort of the best way to build community, which is engage the highest number of contributors. So even if it's just $1, I encourage you to do it. We are looking at 2,000 patrons. You'll see at the bottom left of this screenshot that our immediate goal is 2,000 patrons. When we hit that, I've agreed to do a full broadcast program from David Pakman Show Studios with my hair like this. And I know it might not be a good idea. It might scare people. It might involve the FCC over indecent imagery. But I've committed to doing a full show with my hair uncontrolled if we can get to 2,000 patrons. And I think what I need to do is, I think the 2,500 patron mark needs to be what would trigger me doing my Boston College lectures on YouTube. That is something a lot of people have expressed interest in. For people who don't know, I'm teaching as an adjunct professor at the tremendous educational institution of Boston College in the Boston area. And the class has a lot of material on epistemology and critical thinking, critical media analysis, and a lot of other really valuable material. And I've sort of floated the idea of doing those lectures in some way, shape, or form on the YouTube channel. Now, one option would be just filming the in-class lectures, but there's a lot of stuff related to grades and projects and quizzes and all this stuff that I think might be a distraction. So my new idea would be to actually recreate those lectures, eliminating all the stuff that's specific to the sort of class material or class projects, etc., for YouTube. But it's quite a big project because I would want to edit in the slides that I use and videos, graphics, all this different stuff. So I think maybe a good Patreon target would be when we get to 2,500 patrons, I will start doing the lectures. I will start doing the lectures on YouTube, and I think people would like them. I mean, it's pretty good stuff. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is, let's have a successful Patreon mini fund drive tonight. Let's just get 14 patrons. It'll get us to 1950. We will all cheer. We'll celebrate. The cup will runneth over, as we might say. And then we can move on. All right. Let me get into some of the other comments and questions that are being asked here. And I do have, by the way, if you have not yet... actually, is it out yet? I don't know if it is. So yesterday and today on the broadcast show, we had parts, the first and last part, the first and second parts, I guess I would say, of my interview with Elizabeth Kolbert. And I want to check out here. Has that interview gone live? It hasn't. Okay. So in a couple of days, my full conversation with Elizabeth Kolbert is going to be live up on YouTube. Members would already have been able to see it. You can sign up at davidpakman.com/membership. She wrote the book, The Sixth Extinction, which was highly recommended by President Obama, about the sixth extinction, which we may now be in on planet Earth. And it's really, really good. And the interview was absolutely fantastic. So if you're not a member, that will be popping up on YouTube in a couple of days. Otherwise, it is already available to you. Okay. Okay, I've got a new Streamlabs donation and question. Streamlabs.com/The David Pakman Show. This one is from Lizard Breath, who has sent a $9 contribution. Can you please have a scientific look at the effects from so much deforestation and use of fossil fuel generators on the islands affected by hurricanes? It astounds me that we don't send solar-powered help to an area that is so sunny. Yeah, I mean, we're so backwards on solar power, and we know that there's plenty of sunlight to harness into solar power. We know about the drastically increased efficiency of solar panels and deforestation. We actually did talk a little bit about deforestation. I don't know if you saw, Lizard, my email with interview with Ken Caldera earlier this week. He's an expert on ocean acidification, and deforestation is sort of something that might be in his wheelhouse. He did send me an email about some other ideas, things we could maybe do another interview about. But yeah, I need to talk more about deforestation, and really an interview on deforestation I think would be appropriate. I think that we absolutely need it. Okay. Let's see. There's a $5 contribution that came in, but I'm still not seeing the question for one reason or another, from CW Hambone. Oh, here it is. David, Trump sometimes retweets comments from his supporters. Do you think he ever sees the negative comments that so many people tweet to him? Or do you think he's only ever exposed to what is in his twice daily autofellatio folder? Yeah, so what Hambone is referring to is that 2 times a day, I think it's like at 9:30 and 4 or something like that, there's basically like an internal propaganda team at the White House. And what they do is they compile on paper positive stuff for Donald Trump to look at. And it's amazing because they print out screen. So if you watch a cable news channel, at the bottom, there will often be what's called a lower third, right? And it has some kind of message on it. And if it's a positive message about Trump, they will screenshot and print out for Trump screenshots of cable news, which is incredible. Also, positive tweets will sometimes be printed out and hand delivered to Donald Trump as part of this propaganda folder. For someone who's against safe spaces and trigger warnings and likes telling it like it is, it's amazing how sheltered and he sort of kept in a de facto safe space, rallies just with people who have been handpicked and are supportive. Thanks, Jamal. I'll get to your question momentarily. It's just amazing, and that I think, I don't know that Trump is really aware of all the negative tweets that are constantly out there about him. I think he's pretty deliberately kept in the dark about that. Okay, next question is from Jamal Swift with a $10 super chat. Would Boston College and their students be pissed that you are giving away curriculum for free? No, I don't think so. Most educational institutions are all about publicizing the lectures and the classes that are available. Harvard and MIT have tons of free classes available online. And in the end, it's not the exact same material, right? And the truth is that I speak about critical thinking and media literacy all the time. So no, I don't think anybody, Jamal, fortunately, would be upset if I start doing Boston College material on the YouTube channel or via live streams or really via anything else. Yesenia Moreno has sent a $1 super chat. Who is your favorite I'm sorry, not super chat, Streamlabs contribution. Who is your favorite congressman and why? Exclude Bernie and Warren. Well, Bernie and Elizabeth Warren are senators, so I guess if we mean any member of Congress, when I hear Congress, I think House of Representatives. I don't have one, and I know that that's a lame answer, but I see 99% of politicians as just generic politicians, and I just don't the concept to me of having a favorite member of Congress, I can't. It sounds even weird for me to think that way. So I'm sorry I don't have a better answer for you, Yesenia, because I can assure you, if I had a better answer for you, I would absolutely have given it to you. Okay, let me do a couple of other thank yous before we get to Dylan Collett's question. A couple more new members. I want to thank Gina Chase, who has signed up at davidpakman.com/membership. Thank you very much, Gina. I appreciate that. Also, Anthony Tippin. Anthony Tippin is a new member at davidpakman.com/membership. And Sean Gordon. Sean Gordon also signing up for a new membership. What is membership? Why do we care about membership? Well, most importantly, membership is the #1 funding source for the show, but there's great member benefits. We do a daily bonus show, producer Pat and I, and it's just for our paid subscribers. And you can get access to that bonus show either through membership or at the $5 a month contribution level on Patreon. You also get the entire show commercial free hours after it is recorded. So an example is the Elizabeth Kolbert interview. The Elizabeth Kolbert interview, great interview, by the way, great interview. That was part of yesterday and today's program, right? So if you are a member or a patron, at the predetermined level for getting access to what we call the full show, by around 4:15 or 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, you've got a 1-hour video in the member portal of our website, and you can watch the entire show. You don't have to wait for clips to publish every 90 minutes. You don't have to wait, as you sometimes might have to, 2 days for the Elizabeth Kolbert interview to go live publicly on YouTube. You get it all same day. I think that and the bonus show are really the core membership features that people seem to like. So thanks to people who have signed up. And you know what? I'm really kind of getting bummed out. Nothing's happening on Patreon. We've had live streams where 30, even 40 new patrons will come on. They want to hear their name said. They want to hear their praises sang by me. Sung. Sorry. English is my second language. Give me a break. And our target today was just 14 patrons. I wanted to go from 1936 to 1950. A modest goal, really, particularly when we've got any number of dollar contributions coming in via Super Chat and Streamlabs. I would make a plea to you. If you've made contributions via Super Chat or Streamlabs, or are considering making them today, consider throwing in $1 a month via Patreon, because we keep a lot more of that money than we do from Super Chats. And it really creates this community where when people visit the Patreon website, the higher the number of donors they see, the more likely, presumably, it is that they might be willing to contribute, because they'll get the impression, and correctly so, that, hey, something's going on here. This is worth contributing to. So let's see if we can get to 1950. I still am optimistic and sort of hoping that we might be able to do that. Dylan Collett. Dylan Collett sent a $2 super chat. Any favorite musicians in the Boston music scene? I couldn't tell you of a single one, sadly. I go to like no local music. The last shows I've been to in the Boston area have been sort of in reverse order. Billy Joel a few weeks ago. Fantastic. I went to 311 and Modest Yahoo opening for 311. Some of you know I'm friends with Modest's bassist, Stu Brooks. So whenever they're in town, I'll check out a show. And they're actually coming into town in the next few months again, and I'm looking forward to seeing them. They opened for 311. 311, a band I grew up with, really enjoyed seeing them. And before that, I think the last show that I went to was an Argentinian reggae band called Los Pericos, which I could not more highly recommend to you. They're fantastic. Look them up. Check them out on Spotify. They had one singer for a long time who left the band some years ago, and their guitarist, one of their guitarists, took over the singing. And I know that this is sort of, you're not supposed to say this in the universe of Los Pericos. Kind of like the new singer better. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm more familiar with them. Okay. Let me switch from Super Chat over to Streamlabs. Streamlabs.com/The David Pakman Show. Brian Rasmussen sending a $1 Super Chat. Who is your current political hero, and who would you like to see run in 2020? I'm so terrible at these questions because I just have such a hard time seeing elected officials as heroes. As far as the 2020 thing, I've said it before, and Brian, I love you, but I've got to say I need to stick to my guns on this, for lack of a better term, although I don't own any guns. I think it's too early to talk about 2020. I just think at this point, I did the Kamala Harris story because I was worried about Democratic donors already sort of anointing Kamala Harris for 2020. But beyond that, I think the focus has to be on 2018. There's an Alabama special election coming up in December. There's an opportunity to defeat Roy Moore. I forget the guy's name, the Democratic challenger in Alabama, but he's a great guy with great politics, and he could defeat Roy Moore. That's this year. We've got to focus on 17 and 18 before I'm going to be ready to talk about 2020, and I hope you'll respect that, Brian. I say it with all due respect and with peace and love. Okay, a user going by the name Spanish Segment has sent a $2 streamlabs.com/The David Pakman Show contribution, and it is in Spanish, and it's one of these bizarre Spanish tongue twisters, and what I like to do is just read it as written, and usually it's written pretty atrociously because we all know who it is that's sending these. Hi, Clarth. In any case, I will read it as written, and I'll try to do sort of a translation, even though usually they have no meaning at all. Okay, here it is. Un podador podaba la parra, y otro podador que por allí pasaba le preguntó, podador que podas la parra, ¿qué parra podas? ¿Podas mi parra o tu parra podas? Ni podo tu parra, ni mi parra podo, que podo la parra de mi tío Bartolo. Okay, not even gonna dig into that. I mean, we are talking about Trump's Twitter account makes more sense, right? Trump's Twitter account makes more sense than that. But I do appreciate, the $2 contribution there. Yeah, Christina. Thank you for your $streamlabs.com/The David Pakman Show contribution. Who would you consider a hero, if anyone? I'm seeing a trend here. People really want me to list some idols, right? So we had Yesenia asked about my favorite congressman, and then Brian asked about my current political hero, and Christina's asking who would I consider a hero, if anyone. The people I consider heroes are the people who sort of figure out a place. What I really envy and think is great is people who figure out a place that they can contribute to society in a way that really is bettering the lives of others. And it could be in any way, right? It could be somebody working in the medical field. It could be somebody who's teaching. It could be somebody through media or whatever. I think that anybody who can really have an impact on people and sort of spread whatever it is that they have to bring to the world, I think that that's heroic. And, it's very easy to say, well, I say first responders are the heroes, or members of the military are the heroes. And there are endless praises to sing about all of those individuals. But for me, it's a little broader, I know that maybe it's a little lame, but that's sort of the way I see it. We are now getting some Patreon momentum, okay? Now we are talking. Jesse Naviello has pledged $2 a month. Loker has pledged $2 a month. Dylan Collett has made a pledge at patreon.com/David Pakman Show of $2 a month. And Elizabeth Bone has made a $2 a month pledge. That gets us now to 1,941 patrons. The target for tonight is 1,950. We have failed time and again to reach what I consider to be truly modest goals for an evening's Patreon contributions. And I forgot to thank James Emmett, who has also pledged $2 a month. Let's do it. Let's get to 1,950, and when we do, I will trigger a 55% membership discount code for you. I think people will really, really like that. But let's just do it, right? Let's succeed here. And if you see people throwing us, $1 or $2 or more, as we see up here, all we're talking about is $1, right? Just $1 a month. Most people in the audience can afford that. If you can't, then by all means, I'm not asking for you to contribute a penny, because I really do the show for everybody, regardless of whether you can contribute. But only 1 to 1.5% of our audience contributes financially, and I'm just saying if we could increase that to 3%, that would be pretty good. That would really make a pretty significant difference, I would say. Lord Reginald Peterson has sent a $2 super chat with a very interesting question. What opinions have you recently reconsidered? That's what what positions have I recently reconsidered? Nothing major recently. I think that a better example of positions I've reconsidered are really there's two big ones. Okay, when I was younger, I sort of fell for trickle-down economics and really fell for a traditional, sort of classical, down-the-middle economics philosophy, I guess you would call it, Keynesian economics, and I was sort of even influenced by like the Chicago school, like Milton Friedman. And eventually I got myself out of that. And I totally reconsidered my economic views. Once I read more alternative economic theory, but it's not that. Like everybody can say I read Marx and it changed my life. That's not what I'm saying. But once I actually took economics out of the academic vacuum of perfectly rational actors and all of that stuff that economics likes to teach, and sort of experienced economics more in the real world. So I've made significant changes on economic policy over many years. And actually, I've really changed my views on transgenderism. There was a time where I've always been hugely supportive of gay, lesbian, bisexual rights. And I did have a phase where I knew less about transgenderism, where I probably held some views that were less than totally enlightened on the matter. So I think that that's another issue, to pick like a fiscal issue and a social or cultural issue that I've reconsidered. Hobbitten has sent a $2 British pound super chat. Quit being cute. Name a single person as your hero. My maternal grandmother. My maternal grandmother was a hero of mine. There's a specific one. The D2J Bug has sent a $5 Canadian super chat. We don't need another hero. We don't need to know the way home. All we want is life beyond the Thunderdome. Really could not say it better myself. A Political Monkey has sent a $2 super chat. How can we make the political climate go our way? Well, do you have a few hours? Because I don't. Not today anyway. I mean, I think, at the top level, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Whatever is your political issue, if it's education or women's rights or LGBT rights or the climate, whatever, your work within that issue, trying to move the needle in the direction you see as best, is really going to be influenced by media and by money in politics. And really it's one and the same, right? Because a lot of the money in politics ultimately is spent on media influence campaigns. So I think that at the top level, the best thing we can do is work on the issue of money in politics and how campaigns are financed. And also, the system of elections that we have in terms of, and I'm talking about everything from members of Congress basically always running for re-election because they serve 2-year terms. The broader concept of the two-party system, I think we need instant runoff voting. I think that that's a major thing. I've spoken about that. It's really systemic stuff. I mean, you asked a very general question, and I think that the answer has to start at the general because that really is where a lot of these systemic issues are dictated, okay? BW85 has sent a $10 Streamlabs contribution. The Donald said yesterday he thinks they will have the necessary votes to pass a healthcare bill in January or February. Do you think he fails to understand they'll need 60 votes at that point? Does the Republican Party have any chance of actually passing a healthcare bill? So a few different things in there. I don't know what Trump knows about how many votes he needs. I really don't. It's impossible to know. The guy's a moron, right? I mean, he knows so little. I don't think he knew Puerto Ricans were American citizens until a few days ago when someone explained this is why so many people are asking what the hell is going on with Puerto Rican aid. So he says they'll have the votes in January or February. Not even worth speculating right now about that. The broader question, does the Republican Party have a chance of passing a health care bill? I think that the health care bill the Republican Party could pass is going to need to keep the Affordable Care Act or replace it with something that actually has really a lot of those provisions, because we still talk about Obamacare as if like here's healthcare and there's this like appendage stuck to it that's Obamacare, and we could remove that at any time, kind of like having a wart removed or something like that. But it's been around for 7 years, right? And if you're 33 or younger, that means you were 26 when Obamacare became law, which means the entire time you've been out of your parents' insurance, depending on what state you're in, right? Massachusetts, we had 26 on your parents' insurance before Obamacare. Some states didn't. But the point is, a vast majority of people who are between 31 and 33 today, they have only been sort of out on their own with healthcare under Obamacare. In another year, that's going to be 32 to 34. You're not going to be able to just lance Obamacare like this separate entity. With every passing day, that becomes more difficult. So I think that's the sort of uphill battle that Republicans are facing when it comes to the Obamacare repealed. Christina has sent $1 Streamlabs Super Chat. I like your definition, but I would also add to the list of heroes David Pakman Show Patreon members. From what I hear, they are all great people. Who could possibly deny that? Who could possibly deny that? And on that note, I have a couple new patrons to thank. Negan's Cat has pledged $1 a month, and Chris Walker has made a pledge of $1 a month. You know what? We might, for the first time in weeks or even longer, hit the Patreon contributor goal. The contributor goal was $19.50 for this evening, and we're at $19.43. We are just 7 new patrons away from $19.50. Why do we care about getting to 1,950 patrons? Because if we do, I will create a clever membership discount code. I will announce it only on the stream, and you fine people will have the opportunity to sign up for memberships at a 55% discount, okay? We just need 7 more contributions, and they can be for as little as $1 a month. Let's do it. Let's just make it happen. Let's get it over with. Okay. The Super Chats and Streamlabs questions keep coming in. Brian Rasmussen is up next with a $5 Super Chat. Would you consider doing an in-depth video on the loss of purchasing power of the middle class? Yeah, I think that's interesting. I mean, basically, you've had stagnant wages for 40 years in inflation-adjusted dollars, and we've had inflation. So I think that that's an interesting topic, and I'll make a note of it now, and I think that would be a good one. We've got a dozen or more good topics on our list of long form pieces. Okay, let's go over, and I'll sort of alternate. We'll go back over to streamlabs.com/The David Pakman Show. CW Hambone has sent a $2 contribution asking, David, if you were dating a girl and after developing strong feelings for her found out she was transgender, would it be a deal breaker for you? Does post versus pre-operation make a difference? Yeah, I've addressed this before on the show. You know, my belief is that I would not be interested in being with someone who was born a man. That's my feeling right now. Now, you could react to that and say, you know, David, that's some kind of discrimination or transphobia. Maybe I'm wrong, right? But my instinct is that, first of all, I think it would be difficult to be in a situation where such strong feelings have developed and it's not been, I'm sort of picking my words carefully, it's not been discussed or made evident that the person may not have been born a woman. I mean, certainly post versus pre-operation, I think, would make a difference. I just can't imagine any circumstances where I would be in a relationship with someone who shares the same genitalia I have, and that's my view. And you know, this is just kind of how I feel now. Maybe things will change at some point. I don't know. Okay. Let's now switch back over to Super Chat. XX Shameka, or no, let's see. Yes, XX Shameka sent a $5 contribution. Do trans have a mental disorder? I am not educated this, if you can please explain. Well, I'm not a doctor, but from everything I know, transgenderism is not a mental disorder. But I'm not a doctor. I just go by what I read. XX Shameka with another $2 Super Chat. What shows do you watch? I mean, right now, I'm really only watching one show, which is the sort of Colombian original version of Narcos. Narcos is on Netflix, and it's like a half Spanish, half English story of Pablo Escobar, the Colombian drug lord. I'm watching the original Colombian version. It's called El Patrón del Mal, and it's all in Spanish, subtitled in English. I find it much more entertaining, engrossing, and really, really like it. So that's what I'm watching now. I recently finished watching Ozark, which is a Netflix original. Really, really good with Jason Bateman. Liked that one. I'm waiting for the next season of Mr. Robot. I'm waiting for the next season of Better Call Saul. And what else? And The Americans, which is ending. I like The Americans. I think that's also a good show that doesn't get enough credit. Okay, we continue to inch closer to 1,950 patrons. We started the evening at 1936 with the very generous and much appreciated contribution of Jeffrey Burnett of $2 per month. We have now gotten one contribution closer to 1950, and that places us, should put us at 1942, but I'm seeing 1944, so I'm wondering if there are a couple, no, I'm sorry, that's the right number, 1944. We are 6 contributions away. Only 6 more contributions on Patreon, and I will have no choice but to keep to my word and create and release a 55% membership discount code for you. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. We got 10, 15 minutes left here. Okay, a number of other questions coming in here. Paul Thompson sent a $2 super chat. What are your thoughts on the rise of DSA? I don't know what DSA is. That could mean any number of things. Oh, Democratic Socialists of America. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I don't consider myself a socialist. I am a supporter of social democracy, which is well-regulated capitalism that appropriately funds social welfare programs that really we all have a shared interest in making sure are as strong as possible. But there's no doubt that the term socialist is less of a dirty word than it's been for a very, very long time. And I'm super interested in following where this goes and seeing sort of what, the real question is what impact on mainstream politics will people's openness to socialism or socialistic policies have, because that's really, if DSA gets more members, but it has no impact on modern American politics, then we could argue it's not really doing that much. But I'm confident that there will be trickle-down impact. Jane Woman Power has sent a $5 Canadian super chat. Can't wait until Trump and his family of crooks are gone. The world will be great again. Hell, the universe will be great again. Couldn't really add to that, Jane. Thank you. I appreciate the contribution. Political Monkey. Can we get to the Trump-Russia stuff? No, Political Monk, or maybe if you go by Monkey. We got to it at the beginning. We got to it at the beginning of the stream, had a long conversation about it, so I would encourage you to scroll back. Now I am trying to get to people's questions. Jane Woman Power also topping off her contributions with another $2 Canadian super chat. Thanks so much, Jane. I really do appreciate that. At streamlabs.com/The David Pakman Show, people are also able to make contributions. Redina Redmond has sent a $10 contribution saying, greeting via the Blackshin Facebook group. We still have your back. All right. I don't know what that is. I hope I hope that's not one of the Facebook groups that we found was an infiltrated group, as I mentioned at the top of the live stream. No reason to think that it is, but that happened a little too closely to me talking about that, so it's a little bit scary. But thank you, I really do appreciate that. Doobie Dude has sent a $5 super chat. Doobie Dude says, just for your information, that coin animation is driving the group in the TPS Discord server, which you should totally visit, insane, but it's okay. We still love you. What's bad about it? It's over. Here it is. Yeah. It's my beer glass. Is it driving people crazy because it's annoying or because people like it? And if it's because people don't like it, somebody please send another super chat and explain why people on the Discord don't like this thing. I think it's pretty cool. But we can also remove it next time if people really don't like it. Justin Sanchez has sent a $2 super chat. Santiago says in the chat, will Trump attack Venezuela? I believe that he will not. And that is maybe partially cautious optimism. I want to believe that Donald Trump will not attack Venezuela. But, you know, who really knows at this point? How many different countries can we prevent Donald Trump from attacking? That's increasingly a relevant question at this point. But I hope he doesn't attack Venezuela, and not because I'm a supporter of the Maduro regime. I've been abundantly clear that I am not a supporter of Nicolas Maduro, and was also not a supporter of Hugo Chavez. Okay, so I guess people aren't liking the coin animation on the Discord. Where is it? It's over here. Yeah, here it is. Because the coins miss, and some of the coins fall out of the glass. Okay, well, listen, these are first world problems for sure, right? I mean, the animation on this Okay, I don't think I have to say any more about that. We are starting to run out of time, though. If we are going to hit our target of 1,950 patrons, we do have to do it pretty soon. We've got about 5 or 10 minutes left. Now, I would love to get to 1,950 so that then I can go in and create a funny coupon code, which I will only tell you about, and that will get you a 55% discount off of memberships. However, it's kind of slowing down a little bit. We still need 6 more patrons in order to get to 1,950, and it only needs to be $1 a month, and we will get there. We started at 1,936, 8 new patrons throughout the stream, and now we're just 6 away. But time is quickly vanishing. We are running out of time we cannot get back. So if there's an interest in a 55% membership discount code so that we can all cheer a successful live stream telethon, let's get those contributions in, because we just haven't. I've been doing pretty modest challenges on that, and we've just not been doing well. We've not been doing well with it, and that's sad. It's very, very sad to me. Okay, a couple other things upcoming on the program. Let me tell you what's coming up on the show. I mentioned that we have this great interview with Elizabeth Colbert, which is going live on the YouTube channel Saturday, already available for our paid subscribers. Next week, we've got a bunch of great stuff going on. On Monday, we're going to have arguably the most frequent guest from David Pakman Show history, not Shirley Phelps Roper from the Westboro Baptist Church. I'm talking about Bill Scher. Bill Scher, friend of the show, fellow, well, not fellow, I mean, I guess I don't live there now, but fellow former neighbor from Northampton, Massachusetts. Bill Scher put out a very controversial article where he says, you know, Democrats should actually stop talking about Medicare for all. It's just whatever you think about Medicare for all in terms of its merits, it's not good strategy for Democrats to talk about and support Medicare for all. I don't agree with him. So we're going to talk to him on Monday. On Tuesday, I will be interviewing Boston University's Sandro Galea about the ways in which natural disasters connect with public health and the public health issues and considerations. That will be a really good interview. And then I think people are really going to like this. Wednesday, I will be interviewing Gerald Friedman. Gerald Friedman is an economist and professor of economics at my undergraduate alma mater, the University of Massachusetts. For years, he has been putting forth proposals for how, he says, Medicare for all or some other single-payer healthcare system would be very affordable. Like, he has the numbers. He actually has done the work, which many people say nobody has done. So Gerald Friedman, or Jerry, as he goes by, will be joining me on Wednesday. And then at the end of next week, there's no Friday show. The Thursday show will have the format of the Friday show because I'm going to be at a wedding in Arizona, in fact, for Columbus Day weekend. And then the following week is really just as good. We're going to be interviewing former Obama speechwriter David Litt, who has great stories. We are going to be, we've got an upcoming interview with Mark Ruskin, who's a former undercover FBI agent. I'm reading his book now. I tweeted it yesterday, and it's a fantastic book. I mean, truly excellent book about his experience working undercover at the FBI. And he is actually half Argentinian, I found out through reading the book. So I think it's going to be interesting. Christina has sent $1 streamlabs.com/the David Pakman Show contribution. The cup is cute. Christina likes the cup that's over here. where coins fall into when you make contributions. All right. Brian Rasmussen sent a $1 contribution. I watched your interview with Ben Shapiro today about gun violence. Were you annoyed as I was? Were you as annoyed as I was that he was dodging your questions? You know, it was a while ago that I did that interview. I don't remember the degree to which he dodged my questions. So I guess I can't say for sure whether I was annoyed at the time. But if he was dodging my questions, I probably was annoyed because that does tend to annoy me. I would actually be interested in having Ben Shapiro back again. He is much more well-known now than he was back when we did that interview. And I think that that would be an interesting thing. But we would have people say, debate Ben Shapiro. Okay, well, on what topic? It's not, hey, Ben, let's debate. Go. We would have to think about a topic and really think about one that we both... I think we should both be passionate about it, right? Like we can come up with something to debate, but unless it's really an issue that is of importance to both of us, I don't know that it'll be that interesting or that I see the value in doing it. But open invitation, absolutely. Okay, a couple other super chats here. William Barton sent a $2 super chat with no question or comment. Thanks very much. Jane Woman Power has sent a $5 Canadian super chat. Did I miss you live with your outrageous hairdo? Very important, right up there with Trump, LOL. No, you didn't. So what you're referring to is this, right? And what I've said is that when we get to 2,000 patrons at patreon.com/DavidPakmanShow, I will do an entire show from the studio with my hair like this. We've not yet gotten to that. We started the evening at 1,936. We are now at, we're getting pretty close. Librada Urenia has sent a $1 a month pledge. Brian Lindbergh has sent a $2 a month pledge. So that gets us, our target is 1950. We're at 1946. But the point is, when we get to 2,000, is when I'll do an entire broadcast show with my hair like this, and we haven't we haven't gotten there yet. I do want to tell you, I'm basically ready to wrap for the night because it's getting late. Because we are so close to 1,950 patrons, I'm going to hang out 5 more minutes because I really would like to have a successful achievement of a Patreon target. We just need 4 more at this point. 4 more $1 a month contributors, and we will get to 1950. And if we do, I will create a live stream only membership discount code. So let's do it. We're very, very close. Just 4 more contributions. Doobie Dude has sent a $5 super chat. Political Degenerate from the Discord server you should totally visit says he could absolutely destroy you in a debate on any topic. Just saying. Okay, well, I encourage Political Degenerate then to start a program. And anyone with that degree of confidence in debating politics, in debating people on any topic, must certainly have very, very interesting things to say. And I would encourage them to start a program. That would be step 1 to start getting their sort of political ideas out there, right? Why not? I think that that's a really, really great idea. And I hope that the Political Degenerate will do that. We get, you know, here's what I would suggest. Have Political Degenerate call in during live calls, and have Political Degenerate call the show. We will be able to pick up the call, presumably. We have a lot of calls, but hopefully we can get to Political Degenerate. And then call me out on some, you know, point of view, some position that you disagree with, and we can have a mini debate or something like that. That's the opportunity I can present you. And, you know, take it or leave it. Any Ghost has sent a $20 Streamlabs contribution in Puerto Rico. Total darkness except for the corporate strip in San Juan. 6+ hour waits for gas. Cell service spotty. I have to park in my car near the convention center for 4G. Please don't let this get cycled out of the news cycle. Understood, Any Ghost. Understood, and I am going to do everything I can to keep the Puerto Rico story in the news to the extent that I am able, right? And my power is not unlimited, but I will do absolutely everything I can to try to keep that going, because it is absolutely horrible what is going on. And you know, I saw an interview today with someone, some FEMA higher up, or I don't know, executive, I don't even know what to call them, on CNN around 11 a.m. Eastern. And guy seemed beaten down. I mean, just irritable. He did seem kind of argumentative, but who can blame him, right? I mean, it's not going well. It is not going well at all. And I just, what can you do? What can you say? So yeah, thank you, AnyGhost. Appreciate that. Thank you for the contribution. And stay safe in Puerto Rico. When there's no power and limited water and limited supplies, things can get dicey or complex. We know that. But yeah, thank you so much for the contribution. And on that note, I'm going to wrap up. I've stayed an extra few minutes here trying to get to 1,950 patrons, but sadly, it hasn't happened. We started the evening at 1936. The target was 1950. We got to 1946, just 4 short. We will try again. We will try again, that I promise you.